Good morning, one and all present here. I'm Ramya Devi, working as Assistant Professor in SNS College of Engineering. Today I'm going to share a small topic regarding web servers, which is under Website Basics and HTML. So what is a web server? A web server is a server software or hardware that runs websites. It communicates with the web browser using the HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So what are the web server features? It accepts HTTP requests from web clients and returns an appropriate resource in the HTTP response. So this involves a number of steps. So the first step is the server calls on TCP software and waits for connection request. Upon receiving, server dedicates a subtask to handling this connection. Subtask establishes this TCP connection and receives an HTTP request. It examines host header field and invokes software for this host. It maps the resource on the server, and if the resource is file, creates file as a response. If the resource is a program, returns output of the program, and also it logs information, and client initiates a connection close. So these are the 9 steps which followed whenever we are trying to access a client onto the server. A web server can host a single website or multiple websites using the same software and hardware resources, which is known as virtual hosting. So this is the server history. So the first web server is identified in 1990, which is called as HTTPD, and then an Apache server was developed in 1995, and MSSIAS, and then Tomcat server, and then the servlet container. It provides the JVM that runs the Java program, which is known as servlets. So this is the server configuration and tuning. So server configuration is divided into two things. One is the external communication, the other one is the internal processing. So external communication, this is a Tomcat. So let us take an example as a Tomcat. So which is a Coyat HTTP 1.1 connection, and then Catalina actual servlet container, Coyat parameters affecting external communication, IP addresses and TCP ports, and number of subtasks during server initialization, maximum number of threads, maximum number of TCP connection requests in queue, connection timeout. So next is the tuning the server. It changes the values to optimize performance. It simulates using load generations or stress test rule. So this is the server configuration and tuning. So we need Catalina parameters which affecting functionality. Which client machines may send HTTP requests to the server, which server hosts are listening for TCP connection on a given port, and what logging will be performed, how the path portion of the request URIs will be mapped to the server's file system or other R resources, whether or not the server's resources will be password protected. So server components. So there are 5 server components. One is the connector, host, logger, realm and val. So this is a diagram for the server components. Here there is a Tomcat server in which we have so many connectors. So each connector is named as AGP, SSL, Coyat, like that, and each connector will have an port number. So for example, AGP connector will have an 8080, and SSL connector will have the port number as 443, and Coyat connector will have an port number as 80. And then there is an engine called Catalina, and there are so many valves and logger information for logging all the server activities. And then there is a content, and in which inside we have an servlets. The servlets is the actual web service which serves our request. And this is the connector component. So connector component has the many fields for the connector component. So one is the accept count. So the accept count will accept how many connections can be made from a client, and then the connection timeout duration, and the IP address, port number, minimum spare threads, maximum threads, and then the maximum spare threads. And next is the virtual host. So whenever we are trying to define a virtual host, we have to give a name called localhost, app-based, web apps, and then the unpack vars true and auto deploy true. So web application, any website component that performs some function for the web servers. Example, online forms, shopping carts, word processors, spreadsheets, video and photo editing, file conversion, file scanning and email programs. So Tomcat context component represents web application. The context path specify whether the application's resources can be located. Applications can either be stored and then a web application archive or WAR file or organized as a unpacked resources. So web server logs record so the logger is used for recording the log information or all the server activities which is placed in the servers. Thank you.